Day 6 of World War II, September 6, 1939, witnessed further developments in the German invasion of Poland and significant movements on the diplomatic front. Although the war was intensifying in Poland, the Western Front remained quiet. Here are the key events of the day. German forces continued their rapid advance through Poland, using Blitzkrieg tactics that combined fast-moving infantry, tanks and air support. On September 6th, German troops were pushing closer to Warsaw, the Polish capital. Although Warsaw would not fall for another few weeks, it was clear that the city would soon be under direct threat. The Polish army was increasingly on the defensive, retreating in several areas. However, Polish forces were still putting up resistance in some regions, including Lodz and along the Vistula River. Faced with the rapid German advance, the Polish government, led by President Ignacy Mościcki and Prime Minister Felician Sławoj Składkowski, evacuated from Warsaw on September 6th. The government moved to the city of Lublin, located further east, in an attempt to continue coordinating the war effort from a safer location. This marked the beginning of the Polish government's gradual retreat as the military situation worsened. The relocation of the government was intended to maintain some semblance of order and control, but it also reflected the increasingly desperate situation for Poland. Although the phony war, or Blitzkrieg, continued on the Western Front, Britain and France were actively mobilizing their forces in preparation for a larger conflict with Germany. The British Expeditionary Force began organizing for deployment to France, where it would help defend against a possible German offensive in the west. France, meanwhile, continued to fortify the Maginot Line, its series of defensive fortifications along the German border. France's Saar Offensive begins. In a symbolic gesture of support for Poland, French forces began a limited offensive in the Saar region along the German border. The Saar Offensive, which began on September 6th, was a small-scale attack aimed at probing German defences and putting pressure on Germany's Western Front. However, the offensive was limited in scope and lacked the full commitment of French forces. The French made small gains, but the offensive would soon stall, and the bulk of French forces remained in defensive positions behind the Maginot Line. The Saar Offensive was ultimately ineffective and had little impact on the overall course of the war. The Soviet Union, under Joseph Stalin, remained silent and did not intervene in the conflict at this point, despite having signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with Nazi Germany in August 1939. The secret protocols of the pact, which outlined the division of Eastern Europe between Germany and the USSR, meant that the Soviets were waiting for the right moment to invade eastern Poland. The Soviets would eventually invade Poland on September 17, 1939, but for now they were staying out of the conflict publicly. German forces continued their rapid advance through Poland, approaching Warsaw and forcing the Polish government to relocate to Lublin. Britain and France continued to mobilize their forces, with the French launching a limited offensive in the Saar region, though it had little immediate impact. Britain's civilian evacuation efforts intensified, with millions of people being moved to safer areas. By day 6, the war was increasingly becoming a conflict between Germany and Poland, with Poland struggling to hold out against the German invasion. Meanwhile, the Western powers were still preparing for a broader conflict, and the world was watching as the war continued to escalate.